everybody. This is the Listening Game Podcast. I think this is episode number 4. My name is Nolan, and hanging out with me again is my friend Tony. Hey, Tony, how's it going?
Good.
Tony did the, what was that list called that we did? It was like the top 30 songs of the day or something like that.
Oh, God.
Top 20 songs. It wasn't
that long ago. How come I don't remember?
It was a list, though. We did like the big, long, crazy list of Facebook songs of the day or whatever, and broke them down in obscenely nerdy detail.
Yeah, that's what I think it was song a day or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Right. So I chatted with Tony a little while ago, and he said, yeah, let's come back and do another podcast, and we'll see how this one goes. So me being the dork that I am, I forgot one of the important microphone adapter things at my studio and did not realize that I needed it up until about 8 minutes before Tony walked in the door today to record this. So I'm recording with my B setup right now, which is an iPad, and I'm using this iRig Pre for today instead of my nice Pro Tools preamp. So things will sound a little bit different acoustic-wise today than the other podcasts. Hopefully it's still listenable and everybody likes everything and all that. So we'll see how it goes. So today we're going to go over the movie Filmage came out, and we're going to talk about our top 5 non-traditional Christmas or holiday songs. And then I threw a couple other notes on the bottom here too about like if we think of like upcoming shows that might be fun to check out, or if you had a new CD you bought or something that people might want to listen to, depending on how much time we have. I don't want to ramble on too long. Anyway, so Filmage. So for those that don't know, there's an amazing punk band called The Descendants, and there's an equally amazing punk band called All, and they're basically the same band, just with a different singer, depending on which record it is. They use a different name. And recently a documentary came out called Filmage that talks about the history of both bands and everyone that's been in and out of the band, how they got their start down in the Southern California scene, and how they've been really influential for everyone from the Foo Fighters to Blink-182 to just tons and tons of bands, and how they've just been this great cult band for, 30 years now or something, and never really got the credit that they deserve. And they've just been this cult band, and the stories that follow along with the different members being in and out of the band and all that. And the documentary came out. I guess it actually finally got released on tangible download things you can buy in DVDs and such about a month ago. And then you and I saw it at the Nevada Film Fest. Gosh, it seems like almost 2 years ago now. It was quite a while back anyway.
Was it 2 years or was it? Yeah.
Easily a year ago.
Yeah. It's hard to remember.
Yeah, but it was easily a year back, I think.
Yeah, it was at the Miners Foundry, which is a great little...
Yeah, that was fun. And it's finally out. I bought there were the different tiered things you could buy where you can get like just the movie or the movie with the additional features and the deleted scenes and all that. And I bought the big nerdy one with all the extra bonus cuts and all that. And which one did you get, Tony?
Yeah, I got the standard movie download, got the HD version with the plans of buying the Blu-ray once it's released, that'll have all the extra features on it.
Cool. So I'm a big fan of music documentaries in general. I've got, what have I seen? The Metallica ones, of course, are great, and It Might Get Loud, and I've got like the Tribe Called Quest one on my shelf over there. I haven't actually watched it yet, but I got that one. And
nice.
I've got like The Devil and Daniel Johnson, and I just love music documentaries. And they're always intriguing to me, even if it's about a band that I don't really follow actively, every record that they release.
Right.
But man, I'm really, really into this Descendants documentary one. It just it somehow made me even more of a fan of the Descendants than I was before. It's like I didn't know any of the information about Bill and his father that they got into detail with in the movie, about what it was like with Bill's father and when he was getting raised as a young kid. And I didn't know any of that, nor did I know anything about the medical issues that Bill had later on in life with the... what was it? He had a brain tumor and then the aneurysm, and there's just crazy things going on in his life. I don't want to get into too many details in case people want to watch the movie and learn this stuff for themselves. I don't want to spoil anything, but and I think I just did spoil part of it. Sorry.
Minor.
But I completely nerded out on this film, though. I've gone back and watched it again, I think 3 or 4 times. I watched all the additional bonus footage that came out, like the Tony Lombardo short and the... But anyway, yeah, I totally nerded out over this documentary. I've watched it a bunch. I watched all the bonus footage when I was in Germany a few weeks ago. Just I had an evening free in the hotel room and couldn't really go anywhere. I thought, I'll watch all the B-roll stuff and see what this is. And it was great learning about Tony Lombardo and more about his background. They actually got into details about Frank, the guy who first started the Descendants and came up with the name. And then he shortly thereafter quit the band, put all of his music equipment in the middle of his family room, lit it on fire, and then moved to Oregon. And there's a whole clip about that in the movie.
Yeah.
And they didn't really get into detail about what happened to Frank, though, in the core film. There are little blips of his name popping up here and there in the history of the movie, but that was about it. And in the bonus footage, they actually talked a little more about like what happened to Frank later in life and what he'd been up to, and since leaving the Descendants and everything. And I'll admit, I was one of the guys that picked a side before. There are a lot of people that were saying like, you're either a Descendants fan or an All fan. And in the movie, they talk about how All fans were notorious for, or Descendants fans were notorious for going to shows and yelling, "You're not Milo" at the All version of the band.
Yeah, see, I never got that. I liked them both.
I liked them both fine. I was never anti-All, but I was for sure a bigger Descendants fan than I was an All fan. That was just, those are the records that spoke to me more. That was the band that I really sought out the albums and the songs much more actively. And now that I've watched the movie like 4 times, I think it's even. Like, it just watching that made me get it more. And like, okay, now I think I'm more of a fan of everything they did, not just the Descendants half of.
Now, I've always been a huge Descendants fan. They were, especially in high school, they were just the perfect band at the perfect time, and their songs were just great for an adolescent high school boy.
Yeah, you grew up down near where they were.
Oh no,
starting.
I was up here. No.
Oh, I thought you. Okay, I thought you were in Southern California.
I went to college in Southern California.
Okay, that's what it was.
So
okay.
That was a little bit later.
Gotcha.
In fact, I was up here. I grew up in Stockton, but I saw them in the '80s here in the Sacramento area at a place called Spanky's Pizza.
I remember you telling me about that.
If I remember right, I think it was in Citrus Heights, maybe, or kind of that area.
Okay.
I'd have to look at the ticket stub. I don't remember.
Do you still have the ticket stub?
I do.
Nice. Are you one of those guys that keeps like all your ticket stubs?
I do.
And you have them in like a book or something too? And
I do. Multiple books.
Yeah. I've been buying, or I was buying those little black kind of fake leather books that you can put business cards in.
Yeah,
usually fit like 3 or 4 on a page. I was using those for ticket stubs for a while, and I think I've got 2 or 3 of those that are full now. And there's a pile of ticket stubs in the 2 archive, shelf in the other room.
Right.
Need to actually go in another one. I just haven't done it yet. Are yours all in chronological?
They're all chronological.
Wow.
Yeah. What's totally missing though are all the just shows. That little handstand type shows. And there's millions of those. Just too many to. I don't know. I should have kept track of those. Maybe just in a notebook or something.
I have a friend in Minneapolis named Brooke, who. She keeps a flyer from every show she's ever gone to. So she's got like, if it was like a hand stamp show like you were talking about and there wasn't an actual ticket stub for that, she at least has the handbill that somebody passed out a week before at a show.
Yeah, that's awesome.
She's so hardcore that if she doesn't have a flyer for the show for some reason, she made one with the correct date and information on it and put that in her scrapbook.
Wow.
In between all of the other flyers.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she's hardcore. Yeah, unfortunately, you and I were able to finally see the Descendants live. I guess that was about a year and a half ago as well. Right around the same time that we went and saw the movie.
Yeah, that was during the America's Cup.
Yes, that's right, because we saw them at the America's Cup
pavilion
thing with Pennywise and supposedly with fake Sublime, although I think we left right as they were hitting the stage. It was so bloody cold outside. Yeah. And come on, it's fake Sublime. Brad Knoll wasn't there. It was just the other dudes doing a bunch of Sublime covers, basically. And like, I went for the Descendants and a little bit for Pennywise. I'd seen Pennywise before and I liked them fine, but the Descendants, that was 20 years in the making for me of like, I want to see this band live. And anything after that would have been just a letdown anyway, because I was so just really, really into wanting to see Descendants.
Even though they went on first, judging from the crowd and all the Descendants shirts and banners and everything else, I'd say most of the crowd was there.
Yeah,
the Descendants.
So. Do you remember the guy that sat down behind us with the 2 daughters?
Yes,
that was awesome. So
hilarious.
We got to the show and we're sitting in like the bleachers, kind of in the back, waiting for the bands to start. There's a few open seats around us in the different areas, and this one guy, I don't know, mid-40s, shows up, with his two daughters that are, I'm going to guess, 11 and 12 years old, maybe. So maybe even younger than that, maybe like 8 and 10 or something. These two daughters there. And he's like, hey, are those seats available over there to sit down? And one of us, it might have been me, I don't remember who for sure, but somebody said something like, yes, you can sit there, but this section is reserved only for Descendants fans. And as if on cue, the guy opens up his jacket and pulls out two great big handmade signs that say like blast off with the Descendants on them, and they've got rocket ships painted on them and everything that his daughters had made. And he's like, oh, check this out, and holds out these signs. And it was the most awesome thing you could have, like, we could not have scripted a better scene than that before the band actually starts playing. And sure enough, that when Descendants started, I went down front to take some pictures, and he and his daughters were down front too, holding up the signs and nerding out and having a blast with the show. And he swore that the daughters made both of the signs, but I remain skeptical and think, he's a pretty big fan himself. He might have made one of them too, and maybe helped his daughters with them or something.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to watch it again. Just every time I talk about it to people, I get excited and like, I need to watch that movie one more time. It's so good.
Yeah, I've been dying to watch it again since I downloaded it. I've just been so busy, but yeah, definitely have to.
Yeah,
such a good movie, and I love the humor in it too. That was kind of unexpected, but there's some really funny parts.
Yeah, it's great. I like the little animated segues they have in between the scenes. They've got like the cartoon version of Bill at age 10 or whatever, riding his bicycle down the street, and then the cartoon version of like this half Bill, half very Neanderthal gorilla man in the boat fishing and doing all these other things. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
All right, so it's almost December. It's getting close to Christmas time or holiday time for whatever holiday you do or don't celebrate. By the time I get this edited and up on the website, it'll probably be much closer to Christmas time. So one of the things Tony and I talked about discussing today was the top 5 non-traditional Christmas songs between both of us. So basically taking things like Jingle Bells and Joy to the World and just throwing those out and saying those are not eligible, but instead you can pick things like songs by, I don't know, I'm just going to make up bands like Green Day or things like that and whatever. Yeah, so top 5 non-traditional Christmas songs. Just take things like Jingle Bells and whatever and throw those out. And anything left over, like if you knew of a Green Day Christmas song or anything along that nature, then those were eligible for inclusion in the list. So Tony and I have not discussed our 5 picks in advance. I don't know what he's picking. He doesn't know what I'm picking. So this is a little different than the big, long, rambly list we did last time where there were like 20 songs from each of us and it took forever and a day.
Yeah.
There's only 5 this time.
Disclaimer though, mine aren't necessarily my top 5 because I couldn't decide, so I just picked 5.
Mine the same way. Like mine are not in order. These are definitely 5 of my favorite non-standard Christmas songs, but yeah, trying to sort these in 1 through 5 order would have given me a huge headache. Plus there's so many good other songs. I tried to put a couple of rules in place for myself. Like there's one compilation that I love called A Santa Cause, and it's a benefit album, came out a few years ago, and it's all different bands doing Christmas songs. I love at least 4 or 5 tracks off that record, like Mighty Mighty Boss Tones I think are on it, and MXPX. Yeah, Something Corporate is on it, The Matches. There's some great bands on this thing.
Mighty Mighty Boss Tones are on the Spotify list I put together. Okay. I did not pick them for my top 5, but they are on my Spotify playlist.
Okay. I still suspect we'll have one overlap. That's just my guess.
Maybe.
We'll see. Maybe 2, but I suspect one is like, I'm like, if I had to bet money, I'd pick this one song that might be on both of our lists.
Well, this song here, I think.
I can't read your writing from upside down here, so
fine.
hopefully we're still off.
The one I'm pointing to, I think you might have. So.
All right, we'll see. Here, I'll fold my paper up this way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can't read my writing.
I can't read your writing, so now you can't see my paper either. If you were able to see it before, you cannot now. So
why don't you go first?
Okay, so I put rules in place like there's like a Santa Claus comp that I liked, and there's a comp called The Bands That Stole Christmas. It's all Sacramento area bands doing Christmas songs. So the rule I made for myself was I cannot pick any 2 songs. I can't pick more than 1 song off of the same compilation. So at least that helped narrow down the choices a little bit. So if I had one comp I love, I can't just pull 4 tracks off that one disc. It's got to be one from there and then move on to something else. All right, so in no particular order. All right, I'll go first. So the first one I picked was Do They Know It's Christmas, but not the Band-Aid version. I put the version actually from that comp, The Bands That Stole Christmas. There's a version that was done by Sacramento bands, the Deftones and Far. They did like a duet version of that. And they also have singers of a couple other Sacramento bands doing the different parts on there. Because like the first version's got Simon Le Bon and Boy George and Bono and all these guys on it.
Right.
And so this version's got Jonah from Far and Chino from Deftones, and I think Grady from Will Haven sings on it, and Jacob Golden, who was in Arisha. I think he does like the Bono part or the Simon Le Bon part or something. And so that was my first one, was the Do They Know It's Christmas? And that originally came out on a really hard to find compilation called The Bands That Stole Christmas. It was all Sacramento bands. I think it was like a one-off that a local studio made one year for the Mustard Seed School benefit or something like that. And then that particular song also appeared later on that comp, A Santa Cause, that's a little bit more widespread and easy to find. But yeah, that was my first pick on the disc, was that one.
Okay, cool.
What about you?
Well, I've got a bunch of different compilations. Some are compilations, some are just from different, one artist that would do a Christmas album. I didn't write down where they all came from because I'm stupid. And so I'm not going to remember which disc all these came. They all blend together, and I've thrown so many of them into a Spotify playlist. But okay, so the first one I'm going to go with is a little bit newer. It's Julian Casablancas, Christmas Treat is the name of the song. You've probably heard it. In my view, I think it's better than anything by The Strokes.
That wouldn't take much.
Yeah,
but I hate The Strokes.
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm not a huge Strokes fan either, but I really like this song by Julian Casablancas though. The song is called Christmas Treat, but the chorus is, I wish it was Christmas today. He says that multiple times. If you heard it, you might recognize it, but
you're not going to sing it for me?
I'm really not. Really not. No. But it's definitely got, a punk rock Christmas vibe. That's my first one.
Cool. All right, shall we keep going? All right, so this is the one that I think might be on both my list and your list. Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC.
Oh man, no.
Oh.
I almost went with that one. I love that one. I just thought it's been around for so long that it's almost not non-traditional.
Interesting. That's That's a fair point. I'll give it a fair point. Yeah, especially because it was in Die Hard, and that's such a ubiquitous movie with Christmas time now.
Well, and it was on one of the earliest, big, alternative Christmas compilations.
Yeah, what were those called? The thing with the Keith Haring.
Yeah, the Keith Haring. Yeah. I've got 3 of them.
Yeah. They're oh shoot.
But that was on the very first one.
Were those made by MTV, or were they just around kind of in that time frame?
God, I'd have to go dig out the CD. I don't remember.
I know what you're talking about. I think they have this
very special Christmas.
Yes, very special Christmas.
I knew it'd come to me.
That's what it is. A very special Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, but that is so old that now it's almost a traditional song.
Fair point. Yeah,
but it is a great song.
So, and it's Run DMC. How can you go wrong with Run DMC?
Exactly.
I was surprised at myself when I was making this list how many of my favorite Christmas songs are 80s hip hop songs.
Huh.
And apparently lots and lots of 80s rap guys made Christmas songs, and thought, okay, well, I got to narrow this list down and only pick one or two of those. But there were several contenders on the list at one point for that.
Excellent.
So yeah, Christmas Hollis. You got to. Oh man.
Good choice.
Yep. Okay, your turn, sir.
All right, the next one, also somewhat newer. It's off an album by Amy Mann called "One More Drifter in the Snow," and actually, the name of the album is actually one of the lines in this song it's called "Calling on Mary." It's a really good song. It's an original. Most of the album is covers. She does traditional Christmas songs in her way, but this one's an original, and it's very Amy Mann. Really, really good song.
Nice. So what album is that on? What did you say?
It's called One More Drifter in the Snow.
Is that an Amy Mann album, or is that okay?
Yeah, it's an Amy Mann Christmas album.
Okay. She's really stinking prolific, and I sometimes forget how many things she puts out.
Yeah,
on a pretty regular basis, and
yeah, she's been doing it for a long time without a record label.
Yeah, yeah,
which is awesome.
She had what was that one soundtrack that I know was a big help for
Magnolia.
Her? Magnolia, yeah.
It's
that was a big boost, and I meant to go see the tour she did several years ago now with her and Michael Penn. I think they played Slim's in San Francisco.
Yeah, I saw them together at Harlow's.
I hate you so much.
Not Harlow's. Not Harlow's.
Maryland's?
No, in San Francisco.
Bimbo's. I've only been to Bimbo's maybe twice, 2 or 3 times, and I haven't seen a lot of shows there. I saw David Gray and Matt Nathanson there. That was really fun. And I've seen a couple other things there, but
I love it
I have
for
not been to
shows.
Bimbos.
That's a great little venue.
It's good. Parking is kind of a pain in the neck in that end of town.
Sure.
There are some venues in San Francisco that I hate going there mostly because of the parking issue. Like Bimbo's is one of them. For sure, Bimbo's is one of them. Now that I'm thinking about more recent
There's
shows
a
I've seen.
garage about maybe 4 blocks away. So
If you know the right direction to go to find the
yeah.
garage. Like I went to see The Jealous Sound and Texas is the Reason last year at Bimbo's and missed all of The Jealous Sound solely because of traffic on the Embarcadero and then taking forever and a day to find parking when I got into town. And I walked into the venue, and coming around the corner was the guitar player for The Jealous Sound. I'm like, oh man, they just finished.
Oh,
Son
that
of a
sucks.
bitch. I was so, yeah. And I've wanted to see Jealous Sound for ages and still have not seen them live. So, anyway, Amy Mann, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, she's actually got little segue. Her Christmas show is coming up in December. This year it's at the Warfield. It used to always be at Bimbo's, and it's the best thing. It's like a variety show. So it's like music, and she'll have all these friends, like actors, comedians, other artists, just all, and there's skits and there's music and there's comedy, and it's like super old timey kind of variety show.
And that's at the Warfield this year?
It's at the Warfield this year, yeah.
Wow, that's a much bigger venue than
Yeah.
Bimbo's.
Yeah.
Like, Bimbo's has got to be, what, maybe 300 people, 400 people?
Well,
It's not huge. Bimbo's?
It's got to
not
be big.
huge.
It's bigger than that because Harlow's is 400. Doesn't seem
Yeah,
like
but-
it, but it is.
Okay.
It's definitely bigger than Harlow's.
Not by much, though. I mean, it's not a theater. Like, the Warfield is like
No. Yeah, it's
1,500
definitely
people.
not a theater, but the floor itself is decent size.
At Warfield. So it's
at
not
Bimbo's.
opening okay.
I'd say Bimbo's is probably 800.
Really? You think it's that big?
Yeah. We can Google it later.
We could Google it later. I might have to do that. I've got a friend that works in kind of the club scene in San Francisco. She does ticket windows for a couple of the different venues and works with the promoters and things. She might know. I'll have to.
Although
text her later.
when she would, because for years she did her Christmas show there, and during those shows it definitely was a smaller crowd because they put little round tables. There was no standing. It was all tables with decorations on them and candles and everything. It was kind of cool.
Nice.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do at the Warfield.
Yeah, that's really nice surprise. Like to see somebody at the indie level have her shows go up in attendance that much. Even if it is just a one-off holiday show, it's still like that's at least double or triple the size of Bimbo's.
Yeah.
Warfield is big. So
Unless I'm getting it confused and it's not the Warfield, but what's the other?
the Fillmore?
Fillmore.
Fillmore's still bigger than
Yeah, they're both
Bimbo's.
big.
That's
It's at one of
still
those. It's either Fillmore or the Warfield. For some reason, I have
Okay.
the Warfield stuck in my head, though.
Well, they're both the
So
same.
I have
company,
tickets
all
to
that.
it. I could look when I get home because I'm definitely going. I've gone to all of her Christmas shows.
Nice.
All right, I believe
right.
it's your turn.
It is my turn, yes. So the next one, 1, 2, 3, Oi to the World. Originally it's by the Vandals, but I prefer the No Doubt version of it. That's just the one that, I think I actually heard the No Doubt version first, and then I learned about the Vandals version later. And the video for the No Doubt version is just great, and I really, really dig the early No Doubt records. And this is just a great Christmas song. It's a story about a skinhead punk guy and a guy named Haji, who, based on the story, I assume is like just from some sort of Middle Eastern culture, and he gets into the punk scene, and he's playing music live at a show, and Trevor, the guy who's in the skinhead punk scene at the show, they start out as enemies, and they slowly become kind of friends by the end of the song. It's got this great little story twist to it that goes through and everything, and so it's got a very different storyline and vibe to it than maybe a traditional Christmas song would have. It doesn't talk about opening presents and things like that in the traditional sense. It talks more about these two guys that started out as enemies, and by the end of the night they became friends, and it has this whole little Oi to the World chorus that goes through the whole thing over and over again. And being a 90s scene person myself, and just that's when I started getting into going to lots of live shows and things, I quite like the Vandals, and I quite like No Doubt. And so yeah, Oi to the World is one of my my next picks. I think the line in that song that sold me on it is when he gets to the part where he says, it's something to the effect of, and Haji, but the guy pulled out a sword like the one in Indiana Jones. And just like you get this great imagery in your head of like, that's how he's defending himself, is Haji pulled out a sword like the guy in Indiana Jones. I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. So,
Nice.
yes, Oi to the World. All right. Your turn, sir.
Okay, the next one is a very little known song by an underrated band. The band is Gooster. And the song is Mamacita, ¿Dónde está Santa Claus?
I don't know anything about this song. Gooster as in the Guster
Or is it Guster? Is that how you pronounce it?
Guster?
Yeah, I've always said Gooster. I don't know. Is it Guster?
I heard Guster, but I've only kind of liked some of the material I've heard from them. So maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong because I just haven't paid that much attention.
I'm not I mean, I saw them once opening for someone, I can't even remember who.
They're kind of an acoustic-y pop band.
Yeah. And kind of liked them. So, I mean, I don't own any of their CDs or anything, so I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I've just always, when I see that word, that's just how I pronounce it. But
okay.
So, yeah, Guster, Gooster, whatever. But, yeah, Mamacita, ¿Dónde está Santa Claus? It's
Nice.
like part Spanish, part in English, and it's just fun, little poppy song.
So how did you find out about that one? You said you don't have any.
It's
other
on
albums.
a comp. I don't remember which one, but yeah, it's on a compilation.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I saw Guster. I think I've seen them twice. Once they opened for Chris Isaak at the Warfield, and they were totally honest. They were background music. We were there for Chris Isaak. We didn't really care, and they were not really doing anything attention grabbing at the show. They're just kind of this thing happening before Chris Isaak. None of us really cared about. And then I saw them again. I might have seen them 3 times. Saw them there, and I saw them at a radio festival here in Sac. I think it was The Zone used to do their radio annual thing where they have 15 bands come and play whatever the current hits are, and Guster was on one of those. And then I feel like I saw them a 3rd time too, open for Matt Nathanson. I might be totally making that up, but I've seen them a few times. I know some of my friends that are really, really into the singer-songwriter touring circuit, like Matt Nathanson and Howie Day and bands from that scene. They also really like Guster, so I know I've seen them a couple times with those guys and heard a lot about them over the years. But yeah, they're an okay band. They're not quite as attention getting for me as some of the other ones are. So I had no idea they had a Christmas song. I'll have to
But I enjoyed them the one time I saw them, and then I saw this song pop up on a comp somewhere, and I liked it. So
cool.
It made my list.
Nice. All right, number 4 for me. 1, 2, 3. Yep, 4. Okay, that's what I did. I crossed one out and had to make sure I wasn't counting the wrong line here. So mine is it's called Santa Rap by the Treacherous 3. Have you seen the movie Beat Street, Tony?
Beat Street.
Beat Street? No, really, no. I'm kind of shocked at that answer because you've usually seen more indie 80s films than I have. You are the only reason I even know that one other film. What did we watch at your house that night? Before we saw Digital Underground, we all went to your house because the show got postponed like 4 hours.
Oh, we saw, what did we watch?
It was called like New York Broadway or New York or...
Was it? Oh, Times Square.
Times Square, that's what it was, yes.
Yeah.
So you're the only reason I know Times Square exists, and you're the only reason I've watched that movie too.
Great movie.
So I thought for sure you would have seen Beat Street. So Beat Street was an 80s movie, came out like, 83, and it's all about the New York, Bronx breakdancing hip-hop community when people were just kind of getting into doing hip-hop, and they were still doing a lot of house parties, and that's kind of where the breakdancing scene started and all that. And, Kool Moe Dee, though, right?
Yeah.
He's done... Oh, he did the Wild Wild West song with Will Smith, and he did How You Like Me Now and all that stuff. Well, before he was solo, Kool Moe Dee was in The Treacherous 3. It was him and 2 other guys. And in Beat Street, there's a scene where the 3 of these guys are dressed up as Santa Claus and 2 poor kids. And they're all rapping back and forth. Santa's rapping about how hard it is to be Santa and how he has to pay the elves and how he has to fly everywhere. And then the 2 kids are rapping about, I need a welfare check instead of presents because times are hard right now. And I need new shoes because my shoes have holes in them. And this whole big call and response thing the 3 of them do in the movie Beat Street. And it's on the soundtrack and all that stuff too. And I just really, really got into that song when it came out and loved the movie. It's on my DVD collection shelf over there. And it's kind of scary how much I know about 80s hip hop. Yeah, Treacherous 3 and Kool Moe Dee and those guys. And
sweet. I'll have to check out that movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. You'll have to come over and we'll watch Beat Street, and that'll be returning the favor for watching Times Square that night.
Nice.
All right. Your turn, sir.
All right. I almost didn't put this one on here, and I might even switch it out right now on the fly.
Oh, go for it. Now you've got to say what it is.
Well,
you sound so hesitant about it. It's a freaking Christmas song.
It's a navel-gazing Christmas song, though.
Navel-gazing Christmas song?
It's Jimmy Eat World, Last Christmas.
Okay, the Last Christmas.
Yeah, it's a good song.
I didn't know they did that.
It's kind of poppy, you know.
Right
I
on.
like it.
I didn't know they covered that.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you call it a navel-gazing song?
I don't know.
Oh, is that like
because of Jimmy Eat World? I don't know.
Oh, is that like another term for shoegazing?
Yeah.
I had a whole different...
Shoegazing, yeah. Shoegazing, navel-gazing, whatever.
I had a whole different image. I'd never heard navel-gazing before.
Okay.
I'd had a whole different image and metaphor in my head when you said that.
I don't know.
Navel-gazing. See, navel-gazing to me sounds like you're talking about, I don't know, like club kids or something. People that would wear like half shirts and they're trying to attract attention for like looking cute or whatever. And
just kind of looking down.
What kind of song is he talking about for a Christmas song? That's so weird. Okay. All right, last one for me. It's called Claire, Why Don't You Please Come Home? It's Christmas. And it's actually by Sacramento's own Bobby Jordan. Bobby's been in a zillion bands over the years. He was in Red Star Memorial. He's in the Knockoffs. Oh gosh, what else? He plays in the Mr. T Experience, although they don't do a ton of shows these days, but he is the current bass player for Mr. T Experience. Oh gosh, what else has Bobby been in? I feel bad. I've known him for years and I'm blanking on the other bands that he's been in. The Mission Satellite. I think that's right. I think he was in Mission Satellite. Anyway, lots and lots of great projects. And Bobby recorded some solo stuff as well. I think these actually came out under the band name Bobby J and the Harlots, if I'm not mistaken. And this is just a great kind of old school country-ish song that he released called Claire, Why Don't You Please Come Home? And just really, really great, fun song. I think I bugged him repeatedly until he actually burned a copy of it onto a CD for me and sent it to me one year. And like, here you go. And so yeah, that was my my final pick of non-traditional songs. I thought I could not go too much more non-traditional than an indie Sacramento artist. Although I have a couple other Sacramento artists on here, this is the one that had the most limited of releases, I think. It was like hand-burned on a disc that he passed out to a few people at one show, and that was about it.
All right, for my final one, I think a little more higher profile than your last pick.
That wouldn't take much.
Father Christmas by the Kinks, which almost falls into the same category as Christmas in Hollis for me. It's like it's been around so long that it's almost not non-traditional.
Yeah, I might have to take issue with your comment about my Run DMC pick being not allowed because it's been around so long.
No, I didn't say it wasn't allowed.
Well, you were raising an eyebrow at that pick. It was like, I don't know, that's been around for a long time. And now you're putting the Kinks on there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you realize how math works, right? The Kinks came out 20 years before Run DMC did.
I know. But it's just a good song, so I had to put it on there.
It is a really good song. Cool. All right.
Were there any that were sort of on the bubble for you, maybe?
There were, yeah. I had a song on here called I Saw Daddy Kissing Santa Claus by the band Standstill. And it's a take on I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus, the more traditional song that everyone's familiar with. And this one is about the kid realizing that his dad is gay. So the references are all changed in the song. It's the same melody and everything, but the lyrics are things like, it seems that daddy is much further in the closet than my toys, and maybe this year since dad is queer, I'll get some better stuff. And it just references to like his dad coming out of the closet that year. And it's kind of a fun, jokey song. The only reason I eliminated it was it's on the same compilation as Do They Know It's Christmas? Not the obscure one that's hard to find, but Do They Know It's Christmas by Far and Deftones is also on A Santa Cause, and this song is also on A Santa Cause. And just for my own sanity, I made the rule about, okay, you can only have one song from a comp on there. And plus, if I eliminated that let me have a spot to put Oi to the World by No Doubt on the list instead. So that was why it stood off. What about you? Were there other contenders that got cut?
There were two. Like one is a song by Fountains of Wayne. I Want an Alien for Christmas. It's an okay Christmas song. I like the band. The song's only okay though, so it didn't make the cut.
Gotcha.
The other one was, and this one just because it is a traditional song, but he changes the second half of the song and completely rewrites it, and it's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer by Jack Johnson. I don't know if you've heard his version of that.
I haven't, no.
It's the first part is just the traditional song.
Okay.
But then he kind of makes up a whole new part. So
Is it about smoking weed and like being the kind
no,
of the
not
jam
really.
bandy
It's like the
kinda-
other, Rudolph kind of confronts the other reindeers, and then they start to feel bad.
Oh,
And,
okay.
yeah, it's
That's
actually kind of cool.
I was thinking when you said he writes his own second half, I'm picturing like, because I personally throw Jack Johnson in the same wheelhouse as like the Dave Matthews Band and the guys that they don't write songs about smoking weed per se, but if you hear interviews with them, they're very much in the hippie jam bandy kind of
Right.
mindset and vibe about things. And I kind of think of Jack Johnson in that same world. So like,
Right.
when you said he rewrote the second half of the song, I was picturing, oh, the second half of the song
Rudolph
is,
gets high. Yeah.
yeah, or just he just kind of gets in touch with his feelings and just chills and hangs out for I don't know the rest of the year or something.
No, it's better than that. I almost included that one, but I figured the first half of it kind of invalidated it because
Fair enough.
It's the traditional song.
So when you do like top 5 lists like this, do you obsess over the list a lot, or are you kind of guy that can just like jot down your first 5 ideas and pretty much leave it alone and then just?
No, I obsess to the point of I finally just give up and then just grab 5.
I do the exact same thing. Like it's
Like if I made the same list tomorrow, it'd be different.
yeah, mine might be a little different. I'm pretty happy with like Oi to the World. I think that's got to be on here. The more I think about this, I'd say 4 of these 5 would stay on here for sure, and there's one that I might flip in and out. But
Yeah, for me, Calling on Mary, Amy Mann, and Father Christmas by the Kinks, those 2 would stay on for sure.
gotcha.
Everything else, interchangeable.
I do the same thing when I make mix CDs for friends. I obsess over the track listings on there. In fact, I'm working right now on 2 CDs. I'm working on when I went to Germany recently for some day job stuff. I made a friend over there and we're talking about music and this and that. And I'm like, oh, well, what are some German bands I should check out? And she said, oh, I'll send you a list of stuff to check out. I'm like, great, I'll make a disc of Sacramento bands and return the favor. And so I've been working on a disc of not really genre specific, but just various bands from the Sacramento area that I feel like, oh, these would be good, for somebody on the other side of the planet to check out and learn about Sacramento stuff. And I've been obsessing over that too, trying to pick like, well, gosh, do I put, do you put Tesla on there, or are they too huge to be considered on there? And
Right,
you put the
right.
Deftones on, and yeah, you got to put the Deftones on because Deftones are amazing, but which Deftones song do you put on there? Like they have some great songs that are really, really heavy, and they have some great songs that are quieter, but with the heavy ones sound good next to an acoustic act from Sacramento like Jackie Green or Cake or something like that. And
Right.
so you got to find the right balance of all these different genres to put on the disc. I've been working on that a lot. Actually, I finished making that earlier today. And I'm also working on my annual holiday mix CD right now. That
Which
I
is
make for
always
everyone.
very good.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I've been buying a couple last minute purchases, albums that came out earlier this year that I had not actually picked up yet. I picked those up, like the last of the contenders I bought about a week ago. And now I'm going through and playing those albums over and over again and listening to figure out which the right combination of songs are that should make the contender list for the 2014 holiday mix CD this year. And
Cool.
I think this is the 12th year that I've done
Wow.
those CDs. Yeah, they're it's getting kind of crazy, but yeah, they're fun. And
The hardest thing for me is doing playlists for parties. So had a Halloween
similar
party.
kind of chaos in your
Yeah.
head about
it'll
what songs and
for the hardest thing about parties is not just what songs, but in what order. So like
Oh, yeah.
for me, I'll think, okay, who are the people that are going to show up like early, like, on like when the party is like scheduled? Because, most people that fashion me late, they show up an hour, 2 hours late or whatever. I'm like, who are the people that are going to get here early? Okay. So they're going to probably like some of these songs. So I'll put these on early because they're not really, for the bigger crowds, whatever. And then I'll, transition into this and, toward the end of the party. Okay. So now maybe some people just want to chill. So we'll change the music. I just go, I plan it out in my head, like counting like the number of hours that the party's going to be and, where the lulls are and, where I need to put a really jamming song to like get it going again. And it's crazy.
wow,
I obsess over it for weeks.
that might be even more hardcore than I've ever gotten for a playlist for a party. I'll do the thing where I will make a party playlist of stuff that I think generally people would like, and because like I like a lot of loud, obnoxious music too. I like Slayer and Hatebreed and things like that, which
Yeah.
I would have no problem with at a party. But if we're playing poker or something, people might not want to hear Slayer songs.
Right.
I will make playlists specific for the parties, but I don't think I go to that much extent. It sounds like you're actually almost orchestrating how people are going to behave at your party. Like,
A little bit.
I'll put a bunch of high energy stuff here when I want them all to get excited and dance, and then I'll put some mellow music here when I want them to be chill and
Absolutely.
talking.
Absolutely. My sister would have these backyard barbecues every year, and toward the end of the night, everyone always wanted to dance. So I was doing the playlist for those, and so I would always, backload all the dance tunes, toward starting at 10 o'clock. That's all of a sudden the dance music would come on. One year though, I got a little crazy with that one because I, trying to like figure out like what songs go good next to other ones and all this stuff. I decided, up until the part where everyone starts dancing, I'm just going to, I threw all these songs that I wanted to include, and then I did them all just chronologically. It started, I think the very first song of the party was Frank Sinatra, Fly Me to the Moon. And then it just went all the way up till today, and it worked. It actually worked. It was pretty good.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've never thought of doing that before.
I did it once, and it was only because I was going crazy trying to figure out where do you put Sinatra in this mix? It's crazy. So
you should almost carry around a remote for the iTunes thing in your pocket at the party like that. And then if a fight breaks out, you have an emergency button you can hit to go to the fight music, or if, I don't know.
That was the week that party was the week that one of the big famous astronauts died. First man on the moon was Neil Armstrong.
No.
Yeah. Wasn't it?
On the moon, yes.
Yeah,
right.
Neil
Sorry,
Armstrong,
I was thinking in space.
Yeah,
you're right.
So that was the week that Neil Armstrong died. That's why I put Fly Me to the Moon on there.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, but where does this fit? I don't know. I can't figure it out. So I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to go chronologically.
So when I make mix CDs for people, like the holiday one or whatever, when I start dragging songs into the playlist, by default, iTunes puts them in alphabetical order by, I think, the artist name. So I make it a point to that bugs me. Like for your party playlist, it sounds like that end up working as a theme for you to go through and do everything. But I always feel like I'm cheating the people I make the discs for if I just leave it in alphabetical order like that. I always feel like people are going to turn the disc over to look at the track listing and figure out, oh, Nolan didn't spend any time at all sorting these songs. They're just A to Z, and you lazy, twerp. And
right.
So I'll go through and deliberately move everything around so that they're not in A to Z order anymore, and then I try to find a flow that works with the music. And it's kind of sad how much time we spend sorting songs for playlists and discs and things like that. If we could harness that energy, I think we could probably solve the power crisis for at least most of the U.S. Yeah.
Okay, so staying on the subject of party playlists, what's your take on? So there's a song that you really, really like and that you think everyone should hear, but that maybe one or two people in the party will have heard it and most of the people hadn't. Do you include those types of songs, or do you kind of sandwich them between two songs that everyone knows so that, you know what I mean? Or do you try to shy away from those because it's a party and you want everyone to kind of know the songs?
So for me, I guess it usually works out that the people that would come to the parties usually have different taste in music than I do, which I'm going to guess you have the same issue where they're just
yes.
you tend to know, if not more bands than the average person at your parties, a very different group of bands than the average guest at your parties or at your house or whatever would know. So I tend to not worry about it too much. I make lists of whatever I think fits the vibe of the party. If it should all be kind of mellow acoustic music for whatever reason, then I'll put a bunch of mellow acoustic stuff on there. And if it's bands I like that they don't happen to know, fine. I just, they'll ask and I'll tell them who it is and we'll go on from there. I don't usually go out of my way to make sure it's all music everyone is familiar with or anything like that.
Right.
My sister is a good example of that, I guess. So she'll have a lot of poker games at her house, and I'll bring an iPod over there once in a while, or she'll bring her iPod. She has more top 40 taste in music. She listens to whatever's current and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So her parties will either be half the current-ish stuff that she's listening to, or she's really good about, instead of that, she'll do Frank Sinatra and things like that. And so at least people that are not keeping up on whatever the current bubblegum pop is, they will hear something that they're familiar with on on that level of knowing Frank Sinatra stuff and everything. And
Gotcha.
I feel like I maybe answered the question, but maybe not.
Yeah,
really.
no, you did.
I don't know. Let's see, other stuff. Slick Rick played Sunday night at Harlow's. I really, really wanted to go see Slick Rick, and I called about the show and found out they still had tickets, and I called to get the start times, and found out Slick Rick was not going to hit the stage until 11 p.m. at the earliest, maybe 11:30 or later.
Yeah, but it's
And I
Harlow's. You can't believe it.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem with it too. Is I had so much stuff to do on Sunday. I didn't have 7 hours to stand there in the lobby at Harlow's and wait for the band to maybe start on time and maybe start 6 hours later.
Yeah,
I'm like, I have stuff to do, and
they're the worst venue in town about that.
they are. They're absolutely horrible about it. It's so weird.
The absolute worst though is when they start earlier than advertised. They'll say show starts at 7. You show up at 7 and one band's already done. You're like, what?
Yeah, it's a complete crapshoot. It's them, and I haven't been to the Blue Lamp in a while, but when the old guy used to run the Blue Lamp stuff before it was bought again, their shows were kind of like that too. You'd show up like, well, the flyer says 8, so I'm assuming the bands start at 8, 9, and 10, or maybe 8:30, 9:30, and 10:30, and you'd get there and it could be an hour or two before they start. It could be, after the Kings game is done, we'll start, or it could be any number of things. But yeah, Harlow's takes the cake for just picking a random start time and doing the shows with that, which I don't have a problem with, like different nights of the week starting at different times. Like if your Monday, Tuesday shows start earlier than your Friday, Saturday shows do or whatever, that's fine by me. Even if it's a different time for all 7 days of the week, but put it on the stinking website and be
consistent.
Yeah, and be consistent with it. Like at least put something that's pretty close to the right start time on the website. I realize some of the touring bands have their things in their contract that say we won't go on before 10 p.m. or whatever. That's fine. Just put it on the website so that I know that that's what's going on. And
their website's never right. And you can even call them the day of.
That's what I did.
Yeah, and it'll be wrong.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Didn't we go, I think it was, we saw Thomas Dolby and like walked in. I think that happened there.
Yeah,
like the first band had played. Happen. We got there like flyer said 7. We got there at 7, and the opening band had just been like wrapping up. They had like 2 songs left or something. And
that's exactly right.
That can't help anybody. Like the opening band gets to play to a smaller crowd. They don't like doing that, so then they feel put off by the venue or by the touring band or whoever it is that made that decision. Because then they told all their friends
by the town.
Yeah,
oh, Sacramento sucks. No one comes to the show.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't look good for anybody. So I don't know why venues do that in general, especially Harlow's though. Like I've been to several shows there, and it's always been a big problem at that room. But that's why I didn't go see Slick Rick. I just had too much to do, and did not have 7 hours to waste waiting in the lobby at Harlow's on that day. However, speaking of Harlow's, now that I've been bad-mouthing them for 10 minutes, I'm actually going to go there on this Friday night and see Art Alexakis from Everclear do an acoustic set. I think it's just him and a guitar, and he's going to play, I assume, like the Everclear hits. And usually when it's just a guy and a guitar, they do a little bit more of that VH1 Storytellers kind of thing, where they tell you a little bit about where the song came from or whatever, and that sort of deal. And so I'm going to go watch Art from Everclear on Friday night and check that out.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, you know Chris from the Brodies.
Yeah,
he's so Art from Everclear has got shows all this weekend, like Napa, Fresno, San Francisco. I feel like there's a fourth one too that was somewhere down Bay Area-ish. Chris is going to all of them.
Oh, wow.
He went to the Fresno one. He's got a picture on his Facebook page now of him at the San Francisco one and various things like that. So he's super, super hardcore, and he and I are going to go check out the Everclear, or the Art from Everclear show on Friday night.
Sweet.
Yeah. The flyer says it starts at, I think, 8, or doors at 8 and show at 9. So like, okay, we've planned dinner before the show. We're going to go eat and then go watch the show. If we get there and find out that it's over, I'm going to be so pissed. So I'm going to go check that out. And then in early December, Will Haven are finally playing a show again at Blue Lamp, the big loud hardcore metal band from here in Sac. And they're playing with Black Map, which is one of the guys from Dredge, and Chris from Far on drums, and then Ben from the Trophy Fire is singing and playing bass. So it's within 5 degrees of Far stuff, which means I have to go. And I've seen Black Map twice now already, and they're really good, loud, not quite doom metal, but they're just one of those epically loud, big, heavy bands and really, really great stuff. And Will Haven barely play shows these days, so I want to make sure I go check out both of those things.
Cool.
You got your calendar out now? I assume you're...
Well, I was double checking. It is the Fillmore, not the Warfield.
Oh, the Amy Mann thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew it was one of those two. I just couldn't remember which, but yeah.
Okay. Still a much bigger room though than Bimbo's.
Definitely a bigger room than Bimbo's. Yeah. That's the other thing we were going to look up is the
capacity of Bimbo's.
Yeah.
Okay. We can see now. I need to. This is where I need to have like little Jeopardy style music plugged into my podcast, so we have little background music while Tony is googling things. We can make up songs like Tony is googling, Tony is googling. He's searching for the Bimbos.
Okay.
Head count.
Oh, okay. The capacity is up to 685 people. It says 685 plus
at Bimbo's.
At Bimbo's. Yeah, it's bigger than you think.
All right.
It is.
I mean, I have to believe you because that's the thing.
Now, like I said, at the Christmas show, because of the tables, it was probably closer to 200 because it's not standing room. But
still,
yeah,
that's
your typical show.
Wow, 700 people in there. And Harlow's is 4. I never feel like there are that many people at some of these rooms. Okay. Well, Fillmore is, so if that's 685, Fillmore's got to be, what, about 1,000?
Let us see.
Let's check that one. All right. Tony is Googling. Tony is Googling. That'll be the next thing I write is I'll write jingles for podcasts.
There you go. There you go.
That'll be how I make my millions.
The Fillmore, well, let's see what could be. Oh, capacity, 1150.
1150. Okay, that's bigger than I thought, too. I thought it was just under 1,000, like 910 or something. Oh, we might as well do the hat trick then. What's Warfield head count? I feel like that's between 15 and 2,000.
Here's a picture of Bimbo's. I just wanted to...
Pictures don't translate on the audio podcast, Tony. This is not going to help our listeners.
I know. This is for your edification.
For my edification. Okay, hit me.
Stupid.
It has been a year plus since I've been there, and I've only been to maybe 4 shows at Bimbo's.
So that's the stage way up there.
Okay, yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, and if you take out those tables, it is a pretty good-sized room.
Yeah. Okay, so Warfield. Let's see here.
Yep. The first time I was ever at Bimbo's, while you're looking that up, was for the LucasArts Christmas party.
Oh, nice.
So I went there, and yeah, everyone dressed up and hanging out. And George Lucas was there, saying thank you to everyone and talking about. This was right when Episode 1 was getting wrapped up, so he was there just talking about we're almost done, and thanks everyone for your hard work and all that stuff. And
2,300.
23, really?
Yeah,
for the Warfield.
So it's a lot bigger. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a big room.
That's a big room.
I always feel like it's the layout of the Warfield reminds me of the layout of the Crest Theater here in Sacramento. And I know the Crest is a little bit smaller, but I've always felt like they were similar in size. Like I think the Crest is about 1,000 or 1,100 people. So I always in my head had the Warfield at like, oh, that's like 1,500 people. And wow, it's over 2,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty big.
Nice. Okay. So you're going to the Amy Mann Christmas show coming up?
Yep.
Anything else on
December
the horizon
10th.
for you?
Well, I'm probably not going to do this, but I'm debating. So I don't know if you've heard about the Foo Fighters' new tour and how they're doing that. They have a Beat the Bots tour is what they're.
I heard they were doing a tour and they're playing baseball stadiums and stuff, but I haven't heard any specifics about.
This one, the show in our area is in San Jose at the arena there.
How sad is that? The show in our area is the 2.5 hour non-traffic.
Well, they played
drive.
Sacramento like 2 years ago, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
But anyway, there's a huge problem with the online ticket sales with the automated bots going in and just grabbing all the tickets. So tickets go, pre-sale goes on sale at 10 a.m. and you're hitting refresh. You get right in at 10, and there's like no good tickets left. Like the closest one is 35 rows back or something.
Right.
And so what they're doing is for the entire show, all dates going, over the next probably 6 months. The first pre-sale is this Saturday, and it's at each venue box office.
Okay.
Totally old school, nothing online.
It's like you have to physically be at the box office.
Physically be at the box office. The line starts at 9. Ticket sales start at 10, and they end at 3.
So how is that going to So my first thought, maybe this is just the cynic in me, but my first thought is, okay, so instead of people using the bots to get all the tickets, they're going to go back to the thing they did before where they just paid bums to stand in line and hold their spot all night long.
Yeah.
And the ticket scalpers will just pay the bums like $10 and then they'll just.
Now, I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but the way it sort of read to me was that they're not going to even let people line up until 9.
That never works.
Yeah.
You and I have been, you and I have stood in enough lines for tickets over the years that we know.
Yeah.
When they say the line starts at 9, that doesn't stop anybody from doing anything except standing 40 feet to the side of the building until 9 and then running up front. And
Right.
you might not be first in line if there's 4 other guys doing that with you, but you'll still be 3rd or 4th in line.
Well, we'll see how it goes, but, paying people to stand in line, I can see maybe a few people doing that, but it won't be as easy as the bots. I mean, those are just simple.
Yeah.
So
Fair point. Foo Fighters do put on a good show. It might be worth checking them out again.
they do. Did you see them when they were in Sacramento?
I saw them in Sacramento. It wasn't 2 years ago though. It was, oh man, I don't know, 10 years ago. It was with were you with us at that show? It was me, Sandra, Kim, maybe Mark and Becky. And,
I don't think so. No.
It was they played with Pete Yorn and Special Goodness.
No.
No, okay.
I have seen Pete Yorn. Saw him at Harlow's.
Harlow's again. This is becoming the Harlow's episode of the podcast.
Yeah. Pete Yorn with Remy Zero.
Nice. Pete Yorn is another one of those guys.
2001.
Like we mentioned somebody. He's kind of like Guster for me in that lots of people that I know love Pete Yorn. His music has never. I don't hate Pete Yorn by any means. Just like I don't hate Guster. His music has always just kind of been. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's fine. I see what you're doing. It does.
Sure.
Nothing about it makes me want to go out and buy your whole catalog of stuff though.
Right.
But he keeps popping up on shows. I've seen him live like 3 times now because he's always the opening act, no matter who I've seen. He played with the Foo Fighters here in Sac. I went and saw Crowded House in Oakland a few years ago, and he was the opening act for that show. And he just keeps showing up.
Yeah.
But okay, Foo Fighters, nice. You just went to the Bridge School benefit too, didn't you?
Oh, yes, I did.
How was that?
Absolutely fantastic. I love that show every year.
You go every year?
I go, well, not every year. I try to go every year. When I lived in the Bay Area, I went every year for 5 years. Since I've lived here, it's been hit and miss. I've gone the last 2 years now. 3 years ago, I didn't go. 4 years ago, I did. So I've been,
Gotcha.
like 4 out of the last 5, something like that.
Did you go the year, would have been like 97 or so, when it was David Bowie and Pearl Jam. And Pearl Jam play every year, but it was the David Bowie show.
I did not know. I was still in San Diego. Or maybe that was when because I moved up in 98, I think.
Okay, yeah, this would have been like 97,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I was just curious. That's the one year I actually was able to make it to the Bridge School, and so I thought, oh, maybe you were there too. I'm all out of things on my paper.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm going to go see Willhaven and Black Map. I'm going to go see Art from Everclear coming up. I think those are the only shows I have plans for right now. That's all I can think of anyway. I feel like there's more stuff coming. There's more tours that have been announced, but they haven't announced any West Coast dates.
Right.
Helmet just announced about 15 U.S. dates, but they're all East Coast dates, and they're going to play the album Betty front to back, and then they're going to do a second set of all the other Helmet stuff.
Right.
And I would love to see that. The last time I saw Helmet, they opened for Filter. They played like a half an hour. They played one of their, what I'll call Helmet hits, because Helmet didn't really have, top 10 songs really, but like within the Helmet, fan base are people that they want to hear certain things. They played Milk Toast, and everything else was just random stuff, which is cool, but it was like a half hour set.
Yeah.
I would love to see Helmet do 2 sets like that. And the closest they're coming is something lame like Chicago, and like I can't justify that.
Yeah,
so.
maybe they'll do a part 2.
I hope so. That's my hope with that. Yeah. So they're doing that, and Jonah from Far is on tour on the East Coast right now with James from Jawbox, and they're both doing acoustic sets. And the guy from Jawbox never tours, and they're doing like 10 shows together up and down the East Coast right now. I'm bummed. It's like, come on, guys, really? There's not even a San Francisco show on that thing. And
jeez, and why now? It's like they're being inundated with snow.
Right? Yeah.
It's just horrible. Like,
if anything makes sense right now, it's to tour the West Coast now, and then go do that crap in May or June or whatever when it's a little bit nicer over there.
Right.
Yeah. So lots of stuff coming up. I wish it was coming closer, but We'll see what happens. Maybe more dates later. Okay.
Cool.
Why don't we call it, and I'll hit the save button on this podcast, and we'll wrap it up here. I got an hour and 5 minutes before I actually go in and edit everything and go through and work my magic and see if we can get rid of some of that train noise and what have you. So
Awesome.
thanks, Tony, for coming over and hanging out.
No problem.
Whoever's listening, and see you next time.